This beautiful Thursday morning. We are on Module 5, Lesson 10. So today, the target for today is I will be able to find areas of rectangles whose sides are fractions, mixed numbers, and whole numbers. I will be able to solve with multiplication and draw a model of my thinking. So the difference today is that the sides of our rectangles are going to be fractions, mixed numbers, and whole numbers. And notice that we are going to find the area today. We're not doing volume. So here we go. First, we have a little fluency for you to do this morning when we are multiplying decimals. So what I want you to do is pause this. I want you to do these problems on your own and then come back and check your work. So, for the first one, 2 times 2 is 4. 2 times 2/10 is 4/10. 2/10 times 2/10 is 4/100. And 2/100 times 2/10 is 4/1000. So we're going to discuss some patterns that we see in just a little bit. Okay, more. So pause the screen, solve, and then let me know. Or come back and find the answers out. All right. So we have 3 times 4, which is 12. Then we have 3 times 4/10, which is 1 2/10. And then we have 3/10 times 4/10, which equals 12/100. And 3/100 times 4/10, which equals 12,000. Do you guys see patterns from the last answers? Yes, we should. We should see the same patterns. And then we have one more for you to do. Oh, fractions to mixed numbers. So this fluency, what you're going to do is you're going to take these fractions and you're going to turn them into mixed numbers. This will just help you with the lesson today. 2 1/4 is the same thing as 9/4. Because 2 1/4 equals 9/4. 4 times 2 is 8, plus 1 is 9, and you keep the denominator. 2 1/2 is the same as 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5, and you keep the denominator 5/2. It's a little shortcut, okay? So what you're going to do, and I'm going to do this one really big, 3 3/4 equals. So here's what you do. You multiply the denominator times the whole. You multiply, and then when you go up, you add to the numerator. So let's do this together. 4 times 3 is 12, plus 3 is 15, and you keep the denominator the same, 15/4. To check your answer, how many times does 4 go into 15? 3. It goes in 3 times. 4 times 3 is 12. Plus 3 more is 15. So plus 3 more would be 15, and you keep the denominator. And I'm going to do one more. We're going to do 2 and 5/6. So remember our rule, we take the denominator, multiply it by the whole. 6 times 2 is 12, and then we add 5. 17, and keep the denominator, 17/6. All right, that was going to be our last fluency for today. We're going to move on to concept development. Make sure I get all that erased. Okay, here we go. We're not going to do that or that, even though it might help you. And we did our application problem. Here we go. Area of a rectangle. Find the rectangle A. How many tiles does it take to completely cover rectangle A? How many unit lengths? What's the short side? What's the area? So, rectangle A, you guys don't have yet, but I'm going to draw it for you right now, is 3 units. So rectangle A is 3 units by 2 units. Three units by 2 units. Okay? What is our area? 3 units by 2 units. Remember, area is length times width. So 3 times 2, which equals 6. 3 times 2, which equals 6. So we have rectangle, which it's not just 6. We have to remember it's 6 units squared. 6 units. And we use the word units because that's our label here, units. And we see that 2 times, so that's why we have a 2 here. Okay, so 6 units squared. Now we're going to move on to rectangle B. So rectangle B is 3 units again by 3 units. Okay, but this time it is by 2.5. 2 and then a half. Oh, units. Whoops. I want to make sure I label. So 3 units by 2.5 units. So we are multiplying. Okay, so we have 1 unit here, 1 unit, 1 unit, that's 3, 4, 5, 6. And then we have 1/2, 1/2, and 1/2. Okay, so this is rectangle B. 1/2, 1/2, and 1/2. So what is the area? Area, remember, is length times width. So we have our area of 3 times 2 and 1/2, which is 2 times 3. 2 times 3 is 6, and 1/2 times 3 is 3/2. So 6 3/2, which that's an improper fraction. So we're going to turn that into a proper fraction. 3/2 is the same as 1 and 1/2, so 6 plus 1 and 1/2, which gives us 7 and 1/2. And if you look here, we have 1 unit, 2 units, 3, 4, 5, 6. A half plus a half equals 1 whole, and then we have the half left. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then a half left. So we can draw this a little bit different. I'm going to take away my lines here. Oop, I'll leave that one back, okay? So I'm going to take away these little lines here, you guys. And I'm just going to draw one line across the bottom, because that's where that half was, right? So here's our length times width. This is now, okay, this is 2, and then this is 1/2 down here at the bottom. Okay, 2 and then 1/2 down at the bottom. So, let's see. My problem set, I'm going to have to go back all the way because I keep clicking that on accident. Okay, so rectangle B. We're still here on rectangle B. So, to solve this a different way, okay, we want to find the area of just this, which is 3 times 2, 3 units, times 2 units, which gives us 6 units squared, right? And then this box, which I'm going to do a different color. Okay, so this rectangle, we're going to find the area of this rectangle, which is 3 units, because it's the same length, right? 3 units times the width, which is 1/2 of the unit, which is 1/2 of a unit, which gives me 3 times 1/2 of a unit is 1 and 1/2. So then you just add together our 6 units plus 1.5 units. 6 units plus 1 and 1/2 units, which gives you 7 and 1/2 units. So 2 different ways of finding the area. but we get the same answer. Okay? So, when we compare this to our first rectangle, A, which was 3 units by 2 units, rectangle B is bigger. So, A was 3 units by 2 units, which equaled 6 units squared. B was 3 units by 2.5 units, which equals 7.5 units squared. Okay, so now we're going to find the areas of rectangles C, D, and E, except you do not have paper tiles. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write, you're going to just draw them out. You can use your, the notebook with the grid paper that we gave you to draw these if you want. Or you can just draw them in your composition notebook or on your iPad like I'm doing. So rectangle C. Rectangle C is 1 1/2 units times 5 units. I'm just going to label with U, okay? That's rectangle C. I keep hitting this with my arm. Sorry, everyone. Rectangle D is 2 units times 1 3/4 unit, and then rectangle E is 3/4 unit times 5 units times 5. So we're going to find the area of all 3 of these. So here we go. Let's do this together. Okay, we can use either method. So let's do C first. So C is 1.5 units length and 5 units tall. Okay, so this represents 1, this represents 1/2, and then this represents 5. Okay, so I'm going to find the area of this part first. 5 times 1 is 5 units, and then 5 times 1/2 5 times 1, and then we're going to do plus 5 times 1/2. 5 times 1/2, which equals 5 halves. Okay, 5 halves is the same as 2 goes into 5. 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1/2 is 5. So now we're going to add 2 and 1/2 together. That's the area of the green, plus 5, which is the area of the orange. So 5 units plus 2 and 1/2 units gives us 7 and 1/2 units squared. There's our answer for C. Seven and 1/2 units. All right, D is 2 units times 1 3/4 unit. So if you don't want to draw this out, 2 times 1 3/4, I'm going to show you how to do that. Okay? It's 1 times 2, which is 2, and then 3/4 times 2. So plus, and then you have to do 3/4 times 2, which equals 6/4, which equals 1 2/4. So 2 plus 1 2/4, which will give you 3 2/4, or 3 1/2. They're the same. Okay, so this is going to be 3 1/2 D. And then E, we will do both of the ways that I just showed you. We're going to draw it out, and then we can also just do the math. So first I'm going to do the math, and then we'll check our work. So we have 5 times 3/4, which equals 15/4, which equals 4 goes into 15, 3 times, 4 times 3 is 12, plus 3 more to get to 15. So our answer is going to be 3 3/4, but we're going to check our answer by drawing. So we have 5 units by 3/4 of a unit, and then 5 times 3/4. You do the math. 15/4, which equals 3 3/4. Nice job, everyone. So that is how we find the area of rectangles with whole by mixed and whole by fractional number side lengths. If you need any more help, I have office hours at 2 o'clock today. Thanks, everyone.